Today is March 22nd, 2021. Today's card of the day is the Iron Fist Ally. Iron Fist is an ally from the Doctor Strange Hero Pack in the Protection aspect. It's a 4-cost ally with 1 thwart, 2 attack, and 3 hit points. He's a really amazing ally that is super optimized for what he does. So basically he's got a response that's actually an interrupt now, not officially in the RRG yet, but has been answered by rules request questions. Where when he attacks, you're able to remove a counter from him, a mystic counter, to stun the enemy you're attacking and deal 1 damage to that enemy. He comes into play with 2 mystic counters, so 2 of his attacks you'll be able to add this stun plus 1 damage effect to, which is really strong. So just without any help, he can do for 4 plus the 1 cost of the card itself, so 5 total cost sort of. He can do 6 damage with 2 stuns and a block. So that's blocking 3 attacks for you and dealing 6 damage. That is amazing value pretty much any way you look at it. One of my favorite allies, and the start of a new theme week here at Card of the Day, we're going to try to go through an ally from every aspect and basic that you can really build your deck around. I think Iron Fist is one of those allies that when he hits the board, completely changes the game around for you. So there's lots of different ways that you can combo with him and things that can work well with him, especially in multiplayer, and we'll get to those next. So some cards that work well with Iron Fist. Obviously, he's a really expensive ally at 4 cost. He's going to take almost your entire hand to play. So there's not a ton of cards in protection that really warrant power protection outside of Energy Barrier and a couple of the other allies. But he is a card that if you're going to play Iron Fist, you're going to be really happy if you draw him with a power protection, because resource cost is a little bit steep for those protection players. There's a couple of cool things you can do within protection with him. So there's a new card from Scarlet Witch's pack. The image here is from hallheroes.com. Thanks for putting that up. But it's basically a hero action. The villain attacks you, and you remove 4 threat from the scheme. So you can attack with Iron Fist, deal 3 damage to the villain, and stun the villain. And then you can play bait and switch to remove 4 threat without having to worry about that villain attack at all. Pretty cool. As well, you can use this with Get Behind Me. Now this is a little bit weird because Get Behind Me cancels the effects of a treachery card and has the villain attack you. So you would stun the villain, you would skip the villain's attack during the villain phase, and then you could soak that attack because you haven't already defended in some other way, and use Get Behind Me to cancel your treachery effect. So he's really powerful when you want the villain to slow down. I put Honorary Avenger on here. And honestly, all the allies I showed today are going to combo well with Honorary Avenger. But the reason I think this works well with Iron Fist is that interrupt/response, whatever you want to call it, isn't forced. So you get to pick when you place out those stuns, and sometimes you're going to want to attack for 2 with him instead of waiting till the opportune moment to stun the villain. Finally, there's some off-aspect cards, or cards that you would probably want to include in a multiplayer combination if you're trying to really combo around Iron Fist. First up, we've got Press the Advantage from Aggression. Press the Advantage, 2 damage attack against an enemy. If that enemy is stunned or confused, the player is going to draw a card. So you can use Iron Fist to stun the enemy. You can play Iron Fist and wait to use that stun and use his attack until you have your play partner who has Press the Advantage in their hand. So it's a cool way that you can put stun out at the right time. A lot of the stun effects we have are sort of instantaneous stuns from events, but he is not. He's one you're able to save. Next is Make the Call from Leadership. So these mystic counters, there's no way to replace them on Iron Fist, so you are going to want to let Iron Fist die. When you make the call, you're going to be able to grab Iron Fist from the protection player's discard pile and get 2 more mystic counters put on him. If you're playing Spider-Woman, you could even use Rapid Response to have him come back out and get those counters right away. Speaking of characters from the Red Skull expansion, I think this character actually works really well with Hawkeye as well. It's another one of those ways that having this stun that you can hold for the right moment is really a good opportunity for a character, because you can stun the villain, dealing 3 damage to them, and now all your electric arrows are going to hit for 5 instead of 3. So you can save it for when you have 2 electric arrows, 1 in your quiver, 1 in hand, stun the villain, throw 10 damage at him in a really efficient source, and possibly end the game. Really, really cool. Alright, finally some rules goofs and just, play tips with Iron Fist. Remember, he only comes out with 2 mystic counters, so even though he has 3 attacks, you're not going to be able to stun and do that extra point of damage with all 3 attacks. As I mentioned a couple times on here, that this is actually an interrupt now, not a response. So whenever you see a trigger that starts with when something happens, that should always be paired with an interrupt, not with a response. That's just the way it's worked for almost all the cards in this FFG card game and in many FFG card games. But what's cool about that is, since this is an interrupt instead of a response, When you attack with Iron Fist, you're going to stun whatever you're attacking and deal 1 damage to it. So if that thing has tough, his little ping of 1 is going to remove the tough. You're then going to punch through for 2 more with Iron Fist, actually damaging whatever the tough thing was. So that's pretty cool. And the last thing to remember, this is more of a play tip. I know I've beat this horse a lot on this video. It's that it is not a forced interrupt / response. So you get to choose when to use that mystic counter. It can be on his last point of life. It can be on his first point of life. So don't feel like you have to spend the stuns right away, especially if you're going to do things like put Honorary Avenger on him or somehow heal him. You're going to be able to use that stun when it's most advantageous to you, and that's going to make Iron Fist as powerful as possible. What do you think about Iron Fist? Is he your favorite protection ally? What are some other protection allies you think you can really shape your deck around? Let me know in the comments below.